Since last year, for a couple months, my fiance was sexually involved with my daughter. I don't think he's a bad person. He made a mistake. My daughter had told me that, her friend was sleeping with his stepmom and that his dad was okay with it. When she first told me, I didn't think nothing of it. Then my fiance came to me and said something about his coworker. How she was the 20-something-year-old, and now she's 19 or whatever with a 30-something-year-old. And I'm like, okay, so why are you talking to me about this? What's really going on? I had asked my daughter if she had sex with my fiance, and she said yes. I didn't think nothing of it at the time, so I had asked my fiance, and he said no. So at the time, I was in between. I'm like, okay, I don't know who to believe. When I officially found out, December 8th, that they had sexually been involved, I was shocked. I was crying, I was hurt, I was pregnant, my emotions were everywhere. When I first started questioning, I blamed her. When I first even realized about the situation. So I didn't pursue it right away. I wanted to make sure I had the proof first before I did anything. So now he's incarcerated and she's at my sister's house. And I just want him home with me. Because at the end, I'm the one suffering. Because I ain't got my kids. I just want this all to be over.
He's not a bad guy. He made a mistake.
When I found out, I wanted to, my first reaction was, I want to punch her in the face because I'm like, how do you not know what's going on in your home with your daughter? And it was going on for 3 months. And when she found out, what I was told from DCFS is she blamed her daughter, completely blamed her.
She blamed her daughter for having sex with her fiance.
Yes, she blamed her daughter and blamed her fiance. She said they were both guilty. Her year-old daughter came on to him, not the other way around, but then she, blamed her, told her daughter how she hated her for this. She was still protecting him. She's like, she sent me a text message saying, well, if you knew him, you would know that he would never hurt my children intentionally. And I'm disgusted, as a mother myself. I'm like, how could you choose anybody over your own child? I could never.
How did the situation come to light?
The situation came to light because her older daughter left her Snapchat logged in on her friend's phone. Her friends saw the messages that he was sending to her daughter. They were all sexual. He was sending them to her daughter. So her friend had seen the messages because she left her Snapchat logged in. Her friend then took the messages to her grandmother. Her grandmother screenshotted the Snapchat messages and took them straight to the school counselor, and the school counselor from there called the police, called DCFS, and sent her straight to the hospital. And she was admitted overnight to get STD test, to do a rape kit, to do a pregnancy test, because, she can get pregnant. She's a teenager.
So what happened? Was he immediately locked up?
He was not immediately locked up. My sister delayed her daughter from talking to the detectives at sex crimes because she was still trying to protect him. She delayed it. The detective had told me that the reason they haven't picked him up yet is because that they have to speak to her daughter, and she made sure, she pushed it as far back as she possibly could for 2 weeks later because she was still trying to protect him. When she even found out, she still allowed this man to stay in her house.
So she stayed with them after the allegations?
After the allegations, absolutely. She still allowed this man to stay in her house.
And we're talking, he was having sexual intercourse, to be clear.
Yes, for 3 months.
Eventually, detectives were able to interview your niece.
When I talked to the detective, I said, well, she pushed it back. I'm getting custody of them tonight. I'm meeting the social worker at the hospital, and I'm taking the girls home with me. So I want to bring her in first thing in the morning.
So the only reson why they got to her as fast as they did was because you allowed it?
Yeah, I made sure.
It wasn't even because of the mother?
No, I made sure. I was like, I'm getting the girls tonight. I want to take her to see you first thing in the morning. So what do you got available? You know, I'll bring her the first thing you got available. Even tonight, I'll bring her, you know?
So they came, you know, they interview her, they end up locking up her fiance. He was convicted of 2 counts of unlawful sexual conduct of a minor in the 3rd degree. He was sentenced to 2 years, which to me is shockingly low.
Yes, absolutely.
Sentenced to 2 years and has to register as a sex offender.
Yeah, tier 2 for 25 years. I went to his sentencing. I spoke on my niece's behalf. And his lawyer painted this whole picture where he felt like her teenage daughter was like the woman of the house because she was taking care of my sister's younger daughter.
He was aware of her age, though.
Yeah, absolutely. She tells me, you know, she's hurt by her mom choosing somebody over her. Of course, you know, like their mom sees them once a week for 2 hours, and it's supervised by me or my friend, and that's all she sees. And her older daughter doesn't even want to go to visitation 99% of the time. And I talked to the social worker, and the social worker told me not to force her to go.
Well, you know, before we go in much deeper in the story, I want to say thank you for stepping up and helping protect your business.
Absolutely. Somebody needs to be a voice for these children.
Well, which you would think would be the mother.
Exactly.
But thank God they have a decent aunt. Now, your niece has also said that her fiancé exposed himself. There's a younger child.
There's a younger child.
Who, let's just say, single-digit age, and that he exposed his private area to this little girl.
Yeah, to supposedly cure her curiosity. She was curious about the different parts between boys and girls, and supposedly, from what I heard from my nieces, which I believe them, they're children, they're not going to make this up. So what I heard was that she was sitting in the room and allowed this man to expose himself to her little girl and sat there and just let it happen and did nothing about it.
When you hear these stories about your sister, some of the, you know, you obviously grew up together, right?
Yeah.
Does it shock you?
It makes me sick. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
I'm disgusted. You know, I've reached out to counselors for them. I've been taking them to the Rape Crisis Center. On the way to the Rape Crisis Center...
Is this your sister in the hallway or something?
I believe so. On the way to the Rape Crisis Center, you know, her...
What is she so distraught about?
On the way to the Rape Crisis Center, her youngest daughter had told me that she goes, Nene. I'm like, what, baby? And she goes, my mom let me smoke a cigarette before. And I turned my head so fast, and I'm like, excuse me? And this is her younger daughter, the little one that I have. And my first reaction was to call her and cuss her out. Like, what is she talking about right now? And then she's like, it was so long ago. And I'm like, well, how long ago could it have possibly been? Because she's a single-digit age. You know what I mean? Like, and then she's like, well, she was like 3 when it happened. I'm like, that's even worse than right now.
I had a gut feeling that he was cheating on me. I thought it was one of his co-workers.
Why did you have a gut feeling he was cheating on you?
Because he was always on his phone, always messaging, and I'm always I'm the jealous type.
And instead of being some woman, it was your daughter.
Yeah. And when I was sitting here, and they brought up different stories. His co-worker was a 20-something-year-old man.
Who
and
brought
then
this up?
They both did.
Your daughter,
and,
fiancé.
yeah. I'm
Long
sorry,
as-
my
your
daughter and
Your fiancé.
my fiance, yes.
Is he still your fiancé?
No.
Why'd you break up?
Because of everything that happened. I don't want to be with somebody that's going to do that to my kid.
Do you still love him?
Of course, I still love him. I have a baby by him. I was pregnant at the time all this happened.
You still love him even though he had sex with your underage daughter?
I love him. I have love for him, but I don't want to be with him. I don't want to lose my kid.
But after the allegation came up, you stayed living with him.
No, he was only there that weekend. The weekend that they took him out of my...
But you stayed with him after you found out
But I
about the
took him to
allegation.
the police station to turn him in. I drove him down there to turn him in.
You think children joke around about having intercourse with adults?
I just didn't think that she wanted me to be with him, so it was her way of trying to...
Why wouldn't she want you to be with him?
I don't know.
Maybe because he was violating her.
My youngest would always try to pull the shorts down. And I kept telling her, stop doing that. That's not right. He has, you know.
A penis.
Yeah. I was like, boys have different body parts than girls do. And she would always wonder.
When you found out that he exposed himself to your daughter, what did you do?
I yelled at him for it, but I didn't.
You yelled at him?
Yeah, I didn't go crazy about it because I was in an abusive relationship before I got scared.
That's sickening, and you should have went crazy about it. That's a baby.
Okay. A 3-year-old told a story about you letting her smoke a cigarette. Or she was 3 years old when you let her smoke a cigarette. Did you let her smoke a cigarette when she was 3? I'm dying to know why you would let a 3-year-old. Why'd you let a 3-year-old smoke a cigarette?
Because she kept going in my purse and grabbing them, so I told her to hit it.
So she kept going in your purse, grabbing your cigarette, so you said, okay, I just can't do that fight anymore. I gotta let her smoke. Did you smoke one with her?
No.
No, seriously, did you smoke one with her?
No.
Just share, hey mom, can I get a light?
No.
What the was running through your mind?
You believe your child, Tina. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You're a mom. You need to act like it. Somebody needs to be the voice for these babies. And you let him touch your daughter?
I'm a little confused why we did a lie detector test with you. I mean, you knew. You knew, and you haven't done anything. Christina came here and took a lie detector test, and we asked you, were you aware of any sexual contact between your fiancé and your daughter? She answered yes. Did you know your fiancé was having sex with your daughter? She answered yes.
What?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God.
Did you allow your fiancé to have sexual physical contact with your daughter? And you answered yes.
No, I
That is sickening.
You have done nothing. You're one of the biggest piece of mothers I've ever had on a stage. You should never, ever get your daughters back. I hope your sister gets to keep them forever.
I'm fighting for custody.
I hope
100%.
And you know what? When this guy gets out,
she's going to be right back with him.
You deserve them. And now I see tears, and I don't know what. Who are they for? For yourself? Because they're not for your daughters. Because if you actually had tears for your daughters, you would have called the police, you would have showed up in court, which you did neither of. You are a horrible, horrible human being and a terrible mother, and I hope you rot in hell and someday jail. Get the hell off my stage! And I don't have to hope. I know you're going to take care of these kids, and I wish you all the luck. Thanks for coming on. Click here to watch more Wilkos. Click here to subscribe and get a front row seat for all the action. Do you want to tell your story on the Steve Wilkos Show? Visit the link in the description to get my help.